Welcome to the Residential Home Authority. That's right, we're bringing it back. I am one of your hosts, Vanessa.
And I'm Don.
And we are a father-daughter duo talking all things real estate. And today's episode I am very, very excited about. We will be talking about building a house. Yes, the process, who you're gonna build with, what it looks like, what you're gonna do. I feel like most of our episodes have been about existing homes, and we just haven't talked about builders a lot. So I'm really excited for that. Any thoughts from you, Dad?
Well, there's a significant difference in builders in regards to what type of builder are they. And what I mean by that is one, what we call a tract builder here in PA, or are they a custom builder? There's a difference between tract builders and custom builders, and today we're gonna talk about tract builders. Okay, the difference being is a tract, instead of getting into custom, like I said, we'll do a podcast on that. But this one, we're going to talk about tract builders. Basically, a tract builder is this: you walk into a community, they may or may not have a model home set up, or maybe they have a trailer set up. When they first open up, you're going to go in. They're going to present to you probably 5, 6, 7 different house plans that they feel they can build in the development. They're going to have maybe some lots available for you to choose, and those lots could dictate the condition of the lot, the slope of the lot could dictate what homes qualify for that lot. And
Okay,
some
so
maybe
let's
two
pause.
lots.
Let's
Sure.
pause here. So I always thought when it was like a new home that it was the builder had already put in all this work. They had kind of picked everything, and then you came in like right when it was done and bought it. But you're saying that you can come in when it's still a plot of land and you can pick what you want.
Well, that's the fact that you're going to come in and pick what you want is more typical here in Pennsylvania than it is untypical. And the reason for that is the banks have really tightened up. The builders are not willing to extend themselves out there as much. So what they're doing is they'll put that model home up and they'll sell out of that model home. So they'll have you come in and they'll say, okay, walk through our house. This is our finished work. So you get an example of what they do. And then you choose a model out of what you like based on exterior look, or maybe the floor plan.
Okay.
And obviously the big one is cost.
Okay. So what are some things that could well, I'm assuming that if you're buying in a community and it's a builder that's kind of they're giving you 5 different options, they're sort of around the same price, right? Like you're assuming you can buy everything, or is it like just the floor plan alone is more expensive, or you have to do things inside of it, like, oh, I want the nook, I always think about the kitchen breakfast nook. That always like is an extra crazy amount of money.
What we're seeing here is mainly I've got house A, and these are your 3 finishes.
Okay.
You can go moderately priced, which means the base of everything. You can go mid-range, or you can go high-end. And to give you an example, I just showed townhomes a couple days ago. They went for the same size townhome, $530,000 to $650,000.
What? That's crazy.
Now, the end units on a stretch of 4 or 5 townhomes will always be somewhat higher priced, just because the builder says, well, now I've got to complete another exterior on all 3 sides.
Mm-hmm.
Or an extra side, I should say. Because keep in mind, if you're in the center ones, you're only front and back have a frontage. The end units have another side that has to be finished.
Oh, for a townhouse is what you're saying.
My theory is that side isn't that doggone expensive. It's more about the demand by the buyer. Oh, I like the fact that I only have 1 person attached versus 2, but whatever causes it, that's the reality.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So this is really like a choose your own adventure situation.
Yeah, there's some things that people have a tendency to do that, we're here to advise people. And I can only speak right now of the Pittsburgh market because I'm not, but I would assume, because I do keep up on national information and I do communicate with people that are new home salespeople in other areas of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the builders here in Pittsburgh are national as well. So I'm going to assume that our advice is going to be well taken either way.
Yeah. Most of our advice is
Okay.
just don't do certain things and try to think about things a little bit more and do your research. Hashtag do your own research. That's most of our advice. So I feel like that works no matter where you are.
Well, here's my advice to people, and it seems to be kind of repetitive in what we do. Find an agent that understands new construction and work with them.
Okay.
Here's why I say that. Commission doesn't matter to me. Somewhere I will be paid for my services, and I know that, so I don't worry about what the builder is willing to pay commission-wise.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But if you walk into their model, they're going to talk to you about what they're all about. And before you leave, they're going to say to you, we need you to sign this piece of paper showing that you were here.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you do that, 9 times out of 10, maybe higher, they will not honor you bringing a realtor in with you.
Ah!
That's number one. Number two, the reason why I say you should bring somebody in with you, a realtor in with you, do your homework for that realtor, because and today when I talk to you, I can only share with you my experiences, and as you know, my background says I know what I'm doing. But here's the thing: if you walk into that builder and you sign that piece of paper, your house price isn't going to be any different than if you walked in there and signed up with me.
Okay.
It doesn't change.
But now you just
So
have someone
builders-
who's advocating for you who isn't on the payroll
And
of
that's why I
the
said
builder.
that you need someone that will fully advocate for you. Now, the interesting thing here in Pittsburgh is, and once again, commissions are always negotiable, but across the board, they're all different for different builders. I frankly really don't care. And the other thing that I am not going to do is, if I show somebody something, I'm not going to say, here, sign your contract, and I disappear. I attend meetings with people, and I'm going to explain why. I've just had 2 recent sales where I showed townhomes to a buyer, and I also have a house under agreement right now that we recently had contracted, although I did quite a few this year, thankfully. Always happy to do that. But I've got one in process that I can talk to you about.
Okay.
There are things that are important in regards to the lot that you choose and the house that you're going to put on the land, because you can maximize the value of that house depending on the lot that you choose. I can't really give advice to people on how to do that.
Wait, are you saying on this podcast, is it one of those things where lawyers say this isn't legal advice? Or are you saying that with a client you're like, oh, I don't want to tell you what type of house you should put on this land?
Correct. I can't teach that to a client.
Oh, okay.
That comes with experience and seeing the whole development and evaluating it.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is, right now, you can't give an unequivocal answer going, oh, a Cape Cod always is great on this type of thing, and whatever is always good on this, because it really is dependent on that specific situation.
Right. In a lot of cases, at least partially, those lots have been identified because, for example, if you come in and you say, well, I want the Wilmington model and I want to put it on that lot because I like the feng shui of that lot, the builder may say to you, that's great, I'm glad you feel that way, but I can't put that house on there.
Oh.
It may be, and the reason being is it may be too wide for that particular lot.
Oh, okay.
So or maybe the slope of the land doesn't suit that house well, or in order to put that house on that lot based on that slope of that land, it's going to be much more expensive. The builders of that type of housing will typically have gone through the property. They price their lots according to what they think are values. Maybe this lot is much bigger, is going to end up with a very level yard out the back, or maybe a nice view, so we're going to charge a little more for that lot, those kind of things.
I see.
So that's also going to be a variable. And as I say that, Vanessa, the one thing that comes to mind that pro tip, do not tell the builder what you can afford.
Oh, Okay.
That's none of their business.
Keep it a secret.
Until you're ready, get all the details.
Find out what they're charging. Don't tell them what you can buy.
That's right.
Because they'll continue to jack up the price, or they'll try and sell you on more things. Or, I guess, a combination of both.
Yeah, I can't evaluate their motivation, but I know it's something I advise people against. I have honestly worked with builders who made sure they got every dollar out of the person.
Oh, hot tea being spilled, but you're a professional and you're still working in this town, so you're not gonna shit talk. But I will, just kidding. We can
No.
talk, we just will not be revealing names, but we might say what it rhymes with. No, we won't do that either, because we don't want to blacklist ourselves. I want to go back for a second here, because this really stood out to me. I agree that an agent should be there when you meet with a builder, even for the first time, even just to do a walkthrough, just to see the model home. I think that that's a great idea. But what are some things that agents could advocate for that you wouldn't get if you were just buying from the builder? Like, I know I'm teeing you up here because there are several examples of some things that I can think off the top of my head of things where the builder needed to go back and do some work and maybe they didn't finish on time, or I don't want to use all the examples, but what are some things that you've run into where you needed to really be the muscle here?
I just had that happen.
Oh,
Great
what?
question. We went to the house. They were having a meeting. It was called a pre-drywall meeting.
Okay.
So in other words, the wiring was in, the insulation was in. You could see the framing of the house, so the interior with the insulation in, but you had no walls in per se, no drywall, no hard surface. So I'm walking through with the project manager of the house. I probably walked 5 steps and I looked at the project manager and I said, I need that area insulated properly. Make a long story short, I found 11 areas that needed insulated properly and I quit.
Oh,
I saw areas that actually I could see daylight, which means that if they put the drywall up, eventually water was going to get in there and possibly create a mold situation behind the walls that they would not see. Yeah, I was like you. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I even apologized to the project manager. I said, I'm not showing off here. I'm just telling you what I know.
I actually did not
we go back-
anticipate. I did not know about this. I thought this was about the roof, and we'll get to that in a second. This was another thing like 3 years ago. Continue.
I did look at a house.
No. Let's finish this story. Let's finish this story, and then we'll get to that story, because I did not know about this. Tell me the tea. Ooh, so you were like, I'm out. You said, diva out, diva down, a cigarette in hand. This is not working for Mariah Carey. I do not stand in direct sunlight. Diva down. Is that what you said? Is that how you... No, I'm just kidding. I know you didn't. Okay, please continue. I'm sorry for the riff. Please go.
So I said, get the work done before the drywall goes up. I'll come back and take a look at it with my client, which we did. We were called, we were notified, said it was done. We went back. It wasn't done. Not to the amount that needed to be done. I think there was a total of 5 more areas that needed addressed. So here's the thing. We were told, well, I'm not too concerned about that because we have somebody that comes in and evaluates this and tells us what needs to be done. So when they give us the okay, we're just going to move ahead.
Okay.
And they did have somebody, we waited with that response. They did have somebody come in. I don't know whether it was from the township, whether it was from a third party. I mean, I don't know who knows.
Okay.
But I do know because we had a company that did that. And I know what a stickler I am. So I said, you know what, Mr. Project Manager, that's great. I don't care. We're going to come back. So we got the notice that it was fine. We came back with the response, and I was a little more strict. I was a little tougher than that because I knew they were going to resist this. Because the interesting thing is this builder didn't even want to let us bring an inspector in, and fortunately, the client knew that I had this background, obviously. So what I said to them was, I would accept that, but let me give you a taste of what you're in for. When this house is finished, before they actually purchase it and we do the final walkthrough, I'm going to bring an infrared camera in and I'm going to show them all the places that should have been corrected that I told you have not been done. And you can tear through the walls to correct it. And
at that point, it'll cost you 3 times as much to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, needless to say, we got a message that the project manager himself went up and did the work. And we went back and it was done. Actually, it was done well, very well, to his credit. It was done very well. That's just one example. And there are other things. I mean, I'm walking through there with them looking for all kinds of things. So my advice to people is if you want to go into that tract builder and you want to sign that piece of paper, you don't want to work with a realtor, that's your choice. You don't want to do your due diligence finding someone that really knows what they're doing, that's your choice.
Let's not alienate the listeners, Dad. Let's not do that.
Here's my recommendation. Go hire an engineer to evaluate the building.
Okay.
Go hire an engineer to evaluate everything. And you likely may even run into a problem with that because around here, what they say is we're not willing to give up our building plans to an engineer.
Oh.
Shocking, isn't it?
Wow. Okay. I didn't know they were allowed to do that. But I will say there are quite a few situations in which it is a good idea to have people walk through. It's a good idea to have someone be your advocate. I feel like I need to also understand the concept with tract building because it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I don't want to frame it as like we're rushing or tract builders rush through things. I don't think a lot of them do, but it is a different thing than custom. So and I'm going to say what I think it is from layman's terms, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me. My understanding is that if you were to hire a custom home builder, you would find the land, you would contact them and say, hey, I'm looking to purchase this land, I would like to build a house. And you tell them like, oh, I want a ranch, or I want a colonial, or I want whatever it is. And they kind of like customize it and draw up something original for you. And it's much more expensive. Whereas tract building is like you have your 5 options, but it is the fact that you're not building on site a lot of the time. And if you're buying with the custom home builder, sometimes they're cutting that wood, they're cutting the siding, or they're cutting whatever materials like they're at the site, they're taking it's a little bit more local. It's like going to your farmer's market versus the grocery store. Whereas like your tract builder, it might be produced in a factory somewhere, which is totally fine, but that's part of why it might be more cost effective. It's because they already have all of their like pieces pre-done.
That is why. Well, there's a couple reasons. There's that. There's the fact that because they ran into supply chain problems, was the main reason I think they went to this, where they come in and they say, okay, you can get at the base level, it's this cabinet, it's this flooring, it's this type of bathroom, it's this and this and this. It was not only to be very cost effective, because yes, tract building is more cost effective. The builders typically built that home so many times, they know exactly what their costs are going to be. There's an advantage to that versus I'm going to build this home. You gave me the building plans. Now I got to figure out what the cost is going to be. I have no idea what that soil is going to be like. I have no idea what it's going, there's a lot of, I've got to build in, I don't knows into that price. I have no choice. Where a tract builder, everything is like, I know what this costs. I already have this sitting in my warehouse. I already have everything I need to build all the houses in this development, so on and so forth. So there's definitely a savings there. What I'm talking about is evaluating what they're actually selling to you. And I'll give you another example. I walked into the townhomes with the guy. Now, the townhome we looked at, unfortunately, I couldn't see pre-drywall. The drywall was up. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the particular unit that he was going to buy anyways. But what I did see, and it was very simple, I saw very little, but it was enough for me to say, think about this. That's what I said to the man. Think about what you're buying. And what I saw was this. In the house, they had the doors sitting there. They had They were prepared to put them on. This gentleman was going to pay somewhere around as I said, $530 to $650, depending on what he chose. And all of the doors were a hollow masonite door.
Okay.
So what do I mean? Basically lower end. That means that if I punched it, I could put my fist through it on an expensive townhome.
Yeah.
Then I'm looking at the windows, which are probably, well, no, not probably. They're more important than the doors because the windows are very expensive to replace. And the interesting thing is, I remember listening to the person representing the builder saying, well, our windows are better than most people that are building townhomes out there right now. Wrong. I saw the manufacturer. It is a manufacturer that typically makes home windows for budget conscious people who are replacing windows.
Which is totally fine. That's totally fine, but don't represent it as being super high end.
Right, exactly.
Not the wrong buzzer, not the wrong. That holding people accountable.
But part of the service from an agent's going to be helping you evaluate those things, evaluating what range really is smart for you to invest in, because obviously as an agent, I'm going to know what you afford. You will have talked about it. I kind of know what unit you should buy based on what you're looking for, whether it's a house or a townhouse. Mm-hmm. What can I get for you with the biggest bang for the buck, not only for you to enjoy living in, but what can you get out of it? What are your future plans? If you said to me, hey, I'm only here for 2 years, I came in, I'd like to own a townhome, I'd like to invest in it, I don't know, I might be here longer, but I'll probably sell it, then I'd be saying, well, then let's look at the mid-range or low-end product that they're going to put in it.
Yeah.
It's easier to get that money back when you go to sell versus I'm going to live here for the next 20 years and now I've got to evaluate is what of that preset product will I likely replace? What am I going to accept?
Gotcha. Okay.
But we also get into topics like how is the radon handled and on and on and on. I mean, there's a lot to building a house.
Okay. I wanted to put the marker out there that we work with all kinds of builders and they all have their pros and cons. And
yes,
there are plenty of track builders who are great. And track building is not something to like shake a stick at. Like, I think that we've been in a lot of really beautiful homes that were part of a community, part of a plan. You're purchasing the options and you can do your customizations within there, but like you are buying into this is pre-done for me. And it takes a lot of the legwork out. You're not going to have as many headaches. You could run into something with a custom builder that could delay it and it could turn out to be way more expensive. And so I feel like there are pros and cons to both. It's just kind of what you can afford and what you are willing to deal with and how you can maximize your investment. But also time too. Like, can't track builders put those puppies up pretty quick? Not that they're rushing through them, but like they have crews that are like, because it's a consistent flow, they have people ready.
Well, as I said, we were walking through a house of a tract builder. If I look back on what I was involved in sales-wise this past year, it was all tract builders. I have no problem with that. For the reasons that you stated, there's a big cost savings there. You're eliminating in a lot of cases the unknown. It's just knowing, why am I paying that kind of money for what you're selling to me and what am I actually getting? It's the knowledge of that and making wise decisions on that that can make all the difference. Or maybe those townhomes are located in a place you have no choice. It's the only thing going in that neighborhood. So now I've got to go in there. Well, there's also an advantage to understanding the negatives.
Okay.
Maybe where these particular townhomes sold, it's the only thing going on in my area. So I'm regulated to that. Okay, fine. Now I might open up a conversation with the builder. Is there's any way for me to change those windows? I don't know. We didn't get to that point. But I'm just saying what was in that price was what was in that price. And they may tell me no. Hard to say.
I think no matter what, and it doesn't matter who you're working with, custom or track, really good idea to have people go through it. And not just an agent, because I think sometimes, well, actually, let me go out on a limb here and say unequivocally, I don't have never met any other agent who has done as much with new construction in every facet of housing as you. And we should also specify what we were talking about earlier. So not only did you do the home inspections, but also you were an Energy Star rater, but also the Energy Star Partner of the Year, like for a few, like a few times, I think. And this, basically what you did was you evaluated the energy efficiency to certain building codes. Am I correct in that? Or was it its own process?
Well, that's a great question. First off, I will make this statement. It's important that people know this. At least in Pennsylvania, the building code was adopted. The 2018 building code was adopted, and it started in 21.
Even though it says 2018.
Yeah, even though. Pennsylvania has always been behind because from the years of 2009 to 2018, the builders were building under the 2009 building code. It's the first time they changed in a long time.
Okay, so we're always behind. Good to know. Good to know. Okay.
So one of the significant changes in that, and building codes change for safety reasons. Building codes change for product reasons. This product is better. This is what we want you to use.
Yeah, we now know asbestos causes all kinds of cancers. Let's not use that anymore. Like that kind of stuff.
Right. A lot of things. But the big change, at least if you're getting a house built, is prior to 2000 in the 2009 code, it was recommended to test homes for how leaky the heating system is, losing air, or how much air leaves the house because of poor workmanship or lack of insulation. That was a suggestion.
And not a requirement, just a suggestion.
No, you could build some municipal areas, you could build a house without very much oversight at all.
And so I'm hoping that the next thing you're going to say is that it's now required? It is fingers
required
crossed?
In 2018 building codes. They have to bring the house into 3 air changes per hour, and they have to test the ducts, and I forget what the minimum leakage of that is. Well, why is that important? Well, number one, most of your 2-stories here in Pennsylvania have a heating system, at least the supply system, running through the attic. And on some of the larger homes, you actually have a furnace up in the attic. Well, for a furnace to really be efficient, it needs to be in a conditioned room. In other words, not sitting wide open in an attic. It needs to be in a closed-in room where it's not losing the heat.
Yeah.
The other thing is a lot, because of the way those ducts are constructed, there's a lot of connections, a lot of areas where it could leak. As a matter of fact, I remember being in a home where there was more air going into the attic than there was the rest of the house.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
It was never tested. I found houses where ducts were wide open in the attic and just heating the attic up.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So what I'm saying is now you have that testing, so that's great. So what has happened with that is now as a builder, whether I'm a tract builder or a custom builder, I'm being tested. So I've got to do things to meet that code. Now, pro tip, and this is why I expected what I expected in that particular house that I'm talking about. It's very big. I knew from having the experience of testing houses that when you get into a large basement, large home, you're testing for leaking to the outside. Okay. So whatever house, leaking through windows, leaking through openings, leaking through lack of insulation. Well, that calculation of how much is this house leaking is based on the cubic feet of that house. So if I have a really big house, I can lose air, but because of the calculation, I'm still going to be able to hit that limit. That's why I knew when I went to see that pre-drywall that I was going to see a lot of problems. I also anticipated that whoever walked back through there and gave them the okay to go ahead and put drywall up was not that worried about it.
Yeah.
Because of the size. But me, no, I'm worried about it because it's my client.
Gotcha.
But that's the big difference. But still, even if you don't have somebody that understands that, and you're forcing the builders to be tested, you've really forced them to concentrate on that insulation and air quality. The other thing that happened in 2018, the actual insulation values went up.
Oh,
Now,
that's
some
even
people may
better.
not care about this stuff, but I do, and I
Well,
understand the
your
ramifications.
your heating bill will be significantly different. Your cooling bill will be significantly different. There's a lot of reasons why these things are important, and also, tree hugger here. It helps. What's that? Save the planet. That's right. That's
No, that's a
right.
good purpose.
It can help you, but it can also help everybody else. You're not
Hmm.
gonna need as much energy. There's a lot of good reasons why it's smart to do this, but it does save you money. Like it's two things can happen at the same time. But that okay, I just wanted to give people a little bit of background here because I feel like we talked about certain things, but we didn't really get into the Energy Star portion of your storied career. So people might not understand that exact process or that concept. I mean, I certainly still don't understand. I was helping you do it, and I'm like, what are we testing? Like, what's going on? You just were like, yeah, go do this at this time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I was just a cog on the wheel there.
Well, best thing I can say is this: was doing an open house in a new construction home, and the couple came in, and we were talking, and I kind of knew that they were leery of what they were looking at and I asked them about that. I said, I think there are questions you want to ask me that you're not asking me, and they said, well, we've heard from people that they bought new homes and they had problems with this, problems with that, and I said, yes, that will happen. I mean, you're building a big product. I said it's really important that you understand what's going into it.
Mm-hmm.
And to give you an example, another example, this was wild. I had an agent ask me if I could do a final walkthrough for them. They weren't able to attend it. Wasn't my client, wasn't my deal, had nothing to do with it. I just showed up. I walked up to the house and I'm looking at the house. Now, this was a standalone home, but it was mainly built for that buyer that wanted the master bedroom on the first floor. They wanted the low maintenance home. It was in a community of similar homes. Every third one was basically the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing there looking at the outside, and I said to the project manager who was waiting for them, I said, I'm looking at the outside of this home. I really haven't looked at anything else. And I see that about 70 to 80% of this house is going to need painted. I said, no, your community is a bunch of people moving in that don't want home maintenance. He shrugged, he goes, yeah, you're right. He said almost all of it's going to need repainted, probably 5 to 7 years down the road.
Wait, how did you know it needed repainted?
Experience
Oh, okay, I
with the
get it.
product,
Not telling me the
understanding the
secret in
product,
the sauce. I
just understanding the product.
okay.
So then I said to him, I said, I'm looking at this area where the ground meets the concrete, and I said, there's a big gap here. Water's going to trap there, and it's going to correct this. He walked over, grabbed a handful of mulch, and dropped it into that area so you couldn't see the gap. And he said, there, fixed. Now, he didn't know who I was. I think he probably felt I was a nobody that would know any better. And so then here was the kicker. We're inside the house, and he's standing there talking to the clients, and he said, you can call me in the first 12 months. He said, if there's a nail pop or something simple that does not affect your life, wait until we do a punch out in 10 or 12 months. And I'm in agreement with that. That makes sense. Can't have somebody running in there every time a crack shows up. And
Yeah.
you're going to have things because the house is drying out. But he stood there and he said, now, if there's a 35, 40 mile an hour wind coming against the house and you hear your windows whistle, don't call me because there's nothing I can do about that.
Err. Okay.
And that's where I'm talking about knowing what you're buying.
Okay. Well, I think we're not really helping that whole like track builders are not shisty type of vibes.
Oh,
But
no, they aren't. They
oh,
aren't. I don't
okay.
want anyone to hear this podcast. Wait a second. Let me tell you something. One of the first builders I ever worked with said to me, he said, Don, you can have a great builder build a great house. You can have a great builder build a really bad house. You can have a bad builder build an excellent house. And he said the reason for that is you have to be on top of it. Somebody has to be on top of it. He goes, because you've got so many moving parts in this home, different suppliers, different contractors, different people putting up the shell of the house, different people putting the roof on on and on and on. He goes,
Yeah.
it really partially comes down to that. It also comes down to the product that the client has chosen or has chosen to accept.
Okay.
So, no, I once again, Vanessa, representing buyers, the bulk of everything I sold last year from a new construction standpoint, hands down, was tract building. I don't have a problem with it. I actually see a cost savings to it. And I see developments. One of the things nice is if you're going to have a family, and I'm not jumping on familial status here, I'm just saying that it might
That's a
be
protected
nice to be
class.
in a community.
We're
Right. It might be nice to be in a community where there's 50 homes, 100 homes in the subdivision. So you have instant neighbors, entertainment, so on and so forth, versus building off site, which your neighbor may be 5 acres away. That's your personal choice.
Yeah, no, I see. There's a lot of good reasons to it.
I think they serve a great purpose. I think it helps people get started. In our last podcast, we talked about the fact that unfortunately it's gotten to where the first-time home buyer is averaging 38 years old, which I think is insane in this country. So I'm happy for the tract builders. I really am.
Yeah, I'm happy for them too, and I'm loving this stance from you. I'm glad that we're saying things and we're making statements and we're not shying away from the important issues. To be honest, it's terrible. It's terrible that people are not able to get houses at a younger age. Yes. That's one of the fastest ways to build family wealth, build a financial future for yourself, is to own property. In this country, it is. And so we need to make sure that more people are equipped to do it and do it well and not be taken advantage of by the banks, by a builder, by an agent, by a seller. Yeah, we want to make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into. Wow, I'm revved up. Oh, I'm so revved up after this episode. Yeah.
I'd like to say this. When you go to build a home, you're going to have to go through, and typically here in Pennsylvania, you're going to have to go through the municipality. Your building plans are going to be submitted. It's going to be approved. But as a home buyer, if that's the process you're going through, do not rely on people that are doing a job, but not necessarily the job directly for you. So consider hiring an engineer or considering hiring a party to evaluate that product for you on your behalf. Unless you work with someone crazy like me.
Yeah. Unless you have someone who knows pretty much everything there is to know about the subject and is fanatical about things being correct. Yeah, you should have someone check that out. Okay, I feel like we have learned so much about tract builders today, and I'm really excited for our custom builder episode because we have a lot to say about that. And this has been another very fun episode of Residential Home Authority. There, you got 2 in 1 ep. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to know the lip combo, that's right, they want to know what gloss you're wearing, Dad. Drop it below in the comments, and we want to hear from you. We want to know what you're thinking, what you want to know about. We'll talk soon. Love you, Dad.
I love you too, sweetheart. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Residential